Oh man, they playing with this pre-trial. I need to talk to them about this pre-trial. They playing. They snuck this on the bill. They did. They just snuck it on the agenda. I'm waiting for your answers. Pinto snuck it on there to do to extend it.
But they haven't even started yet. We in here from the chamber.
y'all gotta come to this. Y'all need to RSVP. Somebody stop and put it back. Talk about it today. They're gonna talk about it on the agenda. It's not on there, or people would have been down here for security decisions. It was too late. We sold it, we put it in the bill, and we just lost Kaya with this bill. The girl that was on the plane. So this shit didn't be
I'm going to order this meeting. This is a legislative meeting of the Council of the District of Columbia. It's the second legislative meeting of Council Period 26. I'm Phil Mendelson, Chair of the Council. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. The time is 12:45 in the afternoon, and we are meeting in room 500 of the John A. Wilson Building. Although it's possible, although I don't see it, that members might be participating virtually. This meeting is being broadcast over the cable channel 13, as well as on the Council's website, www.dccouncil.gov. We always begin our legislative meetings with a moment of silence. I would ask that everyone in the chamber on the dais observe a moment of silence for reflection. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Allen.
Here.
Councilmember Bonds.
Here.
Councilmember Felder.
Present.
Councilmember Freeman.
Present.
Councilmember Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis George.
Here.
Councilmember McDuffie.
Here.
Chairman Mendelson.
Present.
Councilmember Nadeau.
Here.
Councilmember Parker.
Here.
Councilmember Pinto.
Present.
Councilmember Robert White.
Present.
Councilmember Trayon White. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. If there's no objection from members, I'm going to move out of order the last item on the agenda, which is PR 26-14, entitled Expulsion of Councilmember Trayon White, Senior Resolution of 2025. This resolution was put on the agenda by Councilmember McDuffie as chair of the ad hoc committee in the matter of Councilmember Trayon White. I will recognize Mr. McDuffie.
Thank you, Chairman. On August 18, 2024, the Federal Bureau of Investigation arrested Councilmember Trayon White Sr. pursuant to a federal criminal complaint charging him with one count of bribery in violation of 18 U.S.C. 201b2. A grand jury for the District of Columbia returned an indictment charging Councilmember Trayon White with violating 18 U.S.C. Section 201b2 bribery on September 5, 2024. Councilmember Trayon White was arraigned on September 12, 2024, and entered a plea of not guilty. That charge remains pending, with trial date scheduled to commence sometime in January 2026. An ad hoc committee was established by a memorandum of Council Chairman Phil Mendelson on August 23, 2024. Pursuant to Rule 651C, the committee was charged with investigating allegations that Councilmember Trayon White Sr. engaged in bribery and violated residency requirements, and reporting its findings and penalty recommendations, if any, to the council within 45 days of being convened. Resolution 25-634, the Council Period 25 Rules of Organization and Procedure and Appointment of Committee Chairpersons and Membership Amendment Resolution of 2024 authorized the committee to investigate whether Councilmember Trayon White violated the law by residing in a ward other than Ward 8 or violated the Code of Conduct, as that term is defined in Section 101.7 of the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability Establishment and Comprehensive Ethics Reform Amendment Act of 2011. Any to the council within 45 days of being convened. Resolution 25-634, the Council Period 25 Rules of Organization and Procedure and Appointment of Committee Chairpersons and Membership Amendment Resolution of 2024 authorized the committee to investigate whether Councilmember Trayon White violated the law by residing in a ward other than Ward 8 or violated the Code of Conduct, as that term is defined in Section 101.7 of the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability Establishment and Comprehensive Ethics Reform Amendment Act of 2011, or council rules, including those provisions of the Code of Conduct, or the council rules that relate to conflicts of interest, taking any action that adversely affects the confidence of the public and the integrity of the district government, outside activities, use of government resources, or acting solely in the public interest. The committee engaged outside counsel, Latham and Watkins, to conduct an investigation, and I want to make certain that everyone remembers that Councilmember Trayon White had 4 opportunities to speak directly to the facts of this matter. The ad hoc committee, through Latham, twice offered Councilmember Trayon White the opportunity to appear before the committee during the investigation, but Councilmember White, through his lawyer, declined those requests. Specifically, on October 29, 2024, Latham sent a letter requesting an interview with Councilmember Trayon White to discuss the matters under investigation and any information Councilmember Trayon White believes is relevant to the investigation. On October 30, 2024, through his counsel, Councilmember Trayon White declined to participate in an interview, citing the pending criminal matter as precluding his participation in the ad hoc committee's investigation. On November 18, 2024, the ad hoc committee sent additional correspondence to Councilmember Trayon White through counsel, once again requesting an interview. On November 22, 2024, Councilmember Trayon White declined this second interview request. On December 11, 2024, prior to the council's adoption of the ad hoc committee report, the ad hoc committee extended a third opportunity for Councilmember Trayon White to appear before the committee. And for the third time, through counsel, Councilmember Trayon White rejected the request. On December 16, 2024, the committee unanimously approved to recommend to the council the sanction of expulsion of Councilmember Trayon White and approved the committee report. The committee adopted the findings of the Latham report. The committee determined that substantial evidence, based on the totality of evidence considered, exists that Councilmember Trayon White Sr. violated D.C. Official Code 1-1162.23 and D.C. Official Code 1-618.01 and Rule 202A of the Rules of the Council for Council Period 25 and various rules of the Council's Code of Conduct. Last week, on January 28, 2025, the Council held a proceeding on the expulsion of Councilmember Trayon White Sr. for Code of Conduct violations to consider the recommendation of the ad hoc committee in the matter of Councilmember Trayon White to expel Councilmember Trayon White from the council pursuant to Council Rule 655. The council considered the charges against Councilmember Trayon White, including that he violated D.C. Official Code 1-1162.23 and D.C. Official Code 1-618.01 and Council Rule 202A, and several provisions of the council's Code of Official Conduct, including Rule 2A, by engaging in outside employment or private activities that conflict with or would appear to conflict with the fair, impartial, and objective performance of employees' official duties and responsibilities or with the efficient operation of the council. Rule 3E2, by directly or indirectly demanding, seeking, receiving, accepting, or agreeing to receive or accept anything of value personally or for any other person or entity in return for prohibited activities. And Rule 6B1, by knowingly using the prestige of office or public position for that employee's private gain or that of another. Last Tuesday's council proceeding was the fourth opportunity for Councilmember Trayon White to directly address on the record the matters under investigation, to challenge the findings of the Latham report or share any information that he believes is relevant to the investigation. As you all will recall, Councilmember Trayon White attended the proceeding, but as is his right, declined to directly address the council once again. Rather, he was represented by counsel who made statements on his behalf. Now, I want to speak directly to Ward 8 residents. Councilmember Trayon White will have his day in court to face the criminal charges against him. And the burden will be on the prosecutors to prove the allegations beyond a reasonable doubt in that case. The standard that the council looks to in matters such as these is not the same standard as in a criminal proceeding. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is not required in this council proceeding. The standard in this council proceeding is one of substantial evidence, and the council rules provide that substantial evidence means, quote, proof that a reasonable person would accept as adequate to support a conclusion or a decision in favor of censure or expulsion, close quote. These were the same standards that Councilmember Trayon White considered and adopted when he voted to expel former Councilmember Jack Evans. But I want to be crystal clear that Councilmember Trayon White is not being deprived of his due process rights because there are two separate proceedings. The criminal proceeding scheduled for a date sometime in January 2026, as I stated earlier, and the council proceeding that is played out up until this day. Councilmember Trayon White has been my colleague, I would dare say my friend on this council for almost a decade. He's been to my home. He's met my wife. He's met my kids. So this vote today is not easy. I know how hard Trayon White works and has worked to represent the people of Ward 8, and I did everything that I could to support him in doing that important work, sometimes when I was a lone voice standing with him in the council. I visited the community with him in Ward 8, and I know that he has been fighting to get what that community deserves and needs. Even before he was on the council, for that matter, I knew Trayon White. In fact, when I chaired the Judiciary Committee a decade ago, Trayon White was one of the first people to whom I called to get his thoughts about how to address the scourge of violence that was plaguing our city. I deeply understand the significance of Councilmember Trayon White to the residents of Ward 8 who have witnessed his growth since childhood. I empathize with their feelings as their ward leader navigates this very challenging situation. While this process is personally difficult for me, it is my duty as a council member, and frankly, today's action is fairly straightforward. It's not a tough question. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. We must follow the evidence and the facts, and this council has a responsibility to the residents of the District of Columbia, indeed to Ward 8, to uphold our ethical standards of integrity and conduct. There will inevitably be individuals who disagree with this process, regardless of the explanations provided. However, this council must take action. I'm acutely aware of the needs of the residents of Ward 8, and I'm committed to ensuring that those needs are met. This is what the council must do and prioritize today. Although my heart is heavy, I firmly believe that expulsion is the right course of action for this council, for our city, and for the residents of Ward 8. In conclusion, the proposed resolution would adopt the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the committee report of the ad hoc committee in the matter of Councilmember Trayon White Sr. and expel Councilmember Trayon White Sr. from the council for the conduct referenced in the committee report that violated DC Official Code 1-1162.23 and DC Official Code 1-618.01, in addition to Council Rule 202A and several provisions of the Council's Code of Official Conduct and the District Ethics Act. So at this time, Mr. Chairman, I move the resolution.
Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie. We have the resolution before us. I've circulated 2 amendments to it. The first was circulated yesterday evening and is linked on the agenda. I'm going to move both of these together unless there's objection. The amendment that's linked on the agenda that was circulated last night makes a number of what I'll call technical changes to different provisions. For instance, changing the language outside council to the word Latham, but also adds a Section 7, the council adopts the findings and recommendations in the December 16th, 2024 report of the ad hoc committee. I'm not reading the entire language there. And adds a new Section 9, the expulsion of Councilmember Trayon White Sr. creates a vacancy in the Ward 8 member seat on the Council of the District of Columbia, and also amends Section 8 to require that this resolution, assuming it's adopted, will be transmitted to both Councilmember Trayon White as well as to the District of Columbia Board of Elections. The other amendment that I believe was circulated this morning is just really one line and not even that, and it's to strike the number 45 and insert the number 90 on line 38, which refers to how long the ad hoc committee had to act. So if there's no objection, I move both amendments together. Those are before us. Is there any discussion on the amendments? On the amendments, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. We have the resolution as amended before us. I do want to make a statement that I hope is brief, and I want to thank Mr. McDuffie for his statement. The genesis of this matter that's before us is an arrest for bribery in August. Bribery of elected officials is quintessential corruption. The public will not tolerate of its elected officials, corruption, and therefore we must act. There have been some Ward 8 residents who have expressed upset with us, and they argue that this action is disenfranchising them and that we should wait for the trial and if there's a conviction. If one agrees that expulsion is the same as disenfranchisement, and I don't agree with that, then it would still be disenfranchisement if we waited a year and there was a conviction. And it begs the question, are we to do nothing? Legislatures everywhere, including Congress, have to be able to discipline their members when there are egregious acts. Trial and conviction cannot be the only criteria for discipline such as expulsion. And I would note that it wasn't the criteria when we had before us the expulsion of Jack Evans. I'll note further that Councilmember Evans, then Councilmember Evans, was accused of ethical violations. There was not a criminal proceeding. He'd not been charged, and yet we moved forward. I became chair of this council in 2012 because my predecessor was guilty of corruption. He was not accused of taking bribes. Nonetheless, it took this council years to rebuild the public trust. Trust is precious. Trust is critical for an elected government, and we must act. Is there any further discussion? We have the measure before us. Councilmember Pinto, did you want to be recognized?
Yes.
Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Councilor McDuffie for leading this process and doing so in a transparent way. Today is a very sad and solemn day, I know, for all of us. I, too, have a history of entering this body following a colleague facing an investigation by our colleagues, an expulsion vote of the ad hoc committee, and then a resignation. And so when I came into this seat, I knew that integrity and ethics was going to be extremely important to rebuild. The investigation commissioned by the council last fall found substantial evidence that Councilmember Trayon White violated the DC Code of Conduct and the council's Code of Official Conduct regarding the bribery allegations. And I am deeply disappointed in this violation of the public trust and know that swift and decisive action from the council is warranted today, and that expulsion is an appropriate sanction in light of the serious violations of the DC Code of Conduct and the council's Code of Official Conduct that I plan to support the expulsion resolution today. District residents in all 8 wards deserve honest and ethical leadership across our government at every level of our government. And these developments highlight the importance of integrity and accountability for all of our public officials. We must hold ourselves and one another to the highest degree of integrity. Outcomes for our district residents and our responsibility as a government, as the nation's capital, rely on this. And I really think that integrity is not something that just kind of happens. It's something that we have to work towards every day. And so I hope that we all can recommit ourselves on this very solemn occasion to that effort and to that mission. And also want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Trayon White, for all of his service to the residents of Ward 8 and the District of Columbia, and all of your partnership and work that you have engaged in as a council member. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. If there's no further discussion, we have the resolution before us as amended. On the resolution as amended, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously, and the resolution is approved. If there's no objection from members, I propose that we take a 10-minute break. We come back, a recess. We come back at 1:15.
Any words to your staff or constituents?
What about to the supporters? What do you want to say to the supporters? Nothing to the supporters? Fred, will you talk to us?
Excuse me. No, excuse me. words to your staff or constituents?
What about to the supporters? What do you want to say to the supporters? Nothing to the supporters? Fred, will you talk to us?
Until we found guilty.
But they said several times they didn't have to determine that. It was just their own code of conduct.
Well, then why don't they do the same with all the other corruption that's going on here in D.C.? Why don't they? Why don't the same people that just voted him out, why don't they come to Ward 8
Say it again, Mike.
and help us?
Yeah, say it.
I am a tax-paying homeowner who went to Ward 8 because I wanted to. I have the best view in the world of every monument. There are beautiful things in Ward 8.
There are. We just asked the council member if he would run in a special election. He didn't give us an answer. Would you vote for him?
Of course I would.
Yes.
I've never missed an election in my life. Of course I would vote for him. He has done everything that we needed him to do. Not one of those people have ever come and knocked on, even walked on my street, including the chairman, to say, how do you feel? Let me tell you what we're going to do, even if we expel him, that everything will be covered, that you'll come over and see that we can have the same kind of beauty and live in the same kind of homes without war and our children killing each other as they do over in Ward 3.
Just state your name for the record.
My name is Diana Robinson, and I stand by everything I do, and I validate everything that Trayon has done for Ward 8.
Diana, thank you for your time.
You are very welcome.
Do y'all know Jack Evans works for the council? They talked about they had to remove him. He works for the council. Look it up.
Well, all of them do. Every mayor, every one of them are paid.
Yes, and you are.
For the community event and with Wanda.
Yes, you can stand right here, Mother.
All right, just quickly, first name, last name, and spell for me.
Eugenia Pixley, Pixley.
Your initial reaction to your councilman being expelled?
It's a disgrace. It's a slap in the face to the Ward 8 residents. It's a dishonor to the 22,000 residents that re-elected Councilmember White on November the 5th. Chairman Field does not care about Ward 8. He never held a town hall meeting. He never came to ask me, who's a lifelong resident of Ward 8, how I feel, how any of my other constituents feel. He never did. So when he gave that little speech, that he's, acting upon the concern for Ward 8, he's lying. And on that same day, this is the part that bothered me, they spent $400,000 of the taxpayer money on an investigation on that same day of the findings. People were evicted in Ward 8. Children were shot and killed on that same day. Families are living without water, electricity, can't buy food, but you spent $400,000 on an investigation. So my thing is, what if council members found innocent? What was all this for? Because they want Ward 8. This is bigger than Councilmember White. They want Ward 8, and it's someone above them who's the head of this. It's going to come out.
Thank you, Mr. Jana.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Want to get in there?
I don't
care to speculate about that at this point. I think what residents of Ward 8, residents across the District of Columbia for that matter, are most concerned about is what happened today. And we took an unprecedented vote to expel a member of the Council of the District of Columbia. But I think in that process we also demonstrated once again that we are willing to hold our colleagues to account and to make sure that integrity is prioritized in the work that we do down here at the Wilson Building.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Sorry, just for the nuts and bolts. For example, he's been expelled. Did he still receive his salary during this period?
He's been expelled, and that expulsion is immediate. The Office of the Secretary is going to handle that transition process, and I'm sure they can answer any questions with a bit more fullness in terms of what happens next.
But do you know if he will still be receiving his salary, for example, as of
I
the
can
next?
answer that question. The action is immediate, though, and so there's a process by which the Secretary of the Council of the District of Columbia will take care of that transition, both for Councilmember White as well as what happens with the staff, which is very important as well. I care deeply about those public servants who have been on the staff. Some of them I know personally for a really long time, and want to make sure that they understand what the way forward looks like for them as well.
And who on council now will oversee Ward 8 during this interim?
Well, there are 4 at-large council members, myself included, who are sworn to uphold the Constitution, the Home Rule Act of the District of Columbia, and to represent all the residents across the District of Columbia, including, in particular, some of our most needy residents in Ward 8. And so I will continue to do that, and I expect that every at-large council member, including the chairman of the Council of the District of Columbia, will be attending to the needs, wants, desires, and to make sure we support the residents of Ward 8.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to speculate on hypotheticals. And by the way, we're going to start in literally in a minute.
1:15.
You can catch me afterwards. It's not a long meeting. Because we're late.
I called your name. You were rushing.
I know you obviously shared sentiments. Obviously, you mentioned it's a really sad day. Just to highlight for the constituents, super quick, just something you want to say. Ward 8 residents just concerned about who takes care of them on this winter.
You know, it is incumbent on myself and all of our colleagues to make sure that we are representing Ward 8 residents. That is true for the budget, that's true for performance oversight, it's true for being in the community. I know I take that responsibility seriously, as do my colleagues. In the coming months, we've got to step up for Ward 8.
As a citizen, your staff needs to reach out to you about